Lionel Messi scored the most important goal of his World Cup career, and for a few seconds, nobody in that stadium actually knew if it would count. That's not me being dramatic. While Argentina celebrated, the referee's headset buzzed, the broadcast cut to a review screen, and Austria's players swarmed the official, arguing that the move which set up history shouldn't have stood at all. So here's the real question this story raises. When a player finally breaks a record that stood for decades, should the same video review system that's already caused headaches all tournament be the thing deciding whether that history is even official? Let's walk through what actually happened, because there's a lot more going on here than one goal. This all comes out of Argentina's second group game against Austria in Dallas. Messi had already equaled Miroslav Klose's all-time men's scoring record with a hat-trick against Algeria days earlier, but Austria was always going to be a different kind of test. Early in the match, Argentina won a penalty after a VAR review flagged a foul in the box. Messi stepped up, and for the first time at this World Cup, he missed. It was only the third penalty he's failed to convert across his entire World Cup career, and reports from the stadium described a noticeably stunned crowd. For a moment, it looked like the chance at history might slip away. Messi later admitted he was furious with himself in that moment, but football has a habit of rewarding patience, and Argentina kept pushing. Just before the half-hour mark, Messi found space, received a clever dummy from a teammate, and finished low into the corner. That goal alone put him level with Brazil's Martha for the most goals scored across both men's and women's World Cup history. Then, deep into stoppage time, he struck again, and suddenly he stood completely alone at the top of the list, with nobody else in the conversation. Here's where things get interesting, though. As Messi was still celebrating that first record-equaling goal, the broadcast showed Austrian players gesturing toward the build-up play, specifically a coming together between an Argentine midfielder and an Austrian player just before the ball broke loose. The on-field referee allowed the goal, but the video assistant referee team checked it anyway, reviewing the contact frame by frame before confirming there was no clear and obvious error. It only took a short amount of time. The goal stood, but it's worth sitting with the fact that the most significant individual goal of this entire World Cup briefly hung in the hands of a review process, not the celebration on the pitch. And that timing matters, because FIFA's video technology has not had a clean tournament so far. Quick reminder before we go further, if stories like this keep you watching, hit that subscribe button now, because we're breaking down a major angle of this World Cup every single day. Now here's why that VAR check landed the way it did with fans. Earlier in the group stage, during a match between Switzerland and Qatar, FIFA's new semi-automated offside technology reportedly malfunctioned during a live review. Officials had to fall back on manual review for 2 separate checks, and analysts covering the match openly called it an embarrassing moment for a system FIFA had promoted as more reliable than ever heading into this expanded tournament. That's the backdrop Messi's review happened against. Fans weren't just watching a routine check, they were watching it with fresh memory of a tournament where the technology meant to make things faster and more accurate had already stumbled once on a big stage. This matters because the 2026 World Cup isn't just bigger in name. With 48 teams and well over 100 matches, FIFA's video review system is working at a scale it's never operated at before. More matches mean more reviews, more pressure on officials, and more chances for a system under that kind of load to be tested in a moment the whole world is watching. Compare that to previous tournaments. In Qatar back in 2022, VAR controversies tended to center on marginal offside calls decided by millimeters. This year, the conversation is shifted towards something slightly different. It's not just about whether a call is correct, it's about whether fans can trust the process itself, especially when a piece of football history is sitting in the balance while the review plays out. The bigger issue is that FIFA has spent years selling this technology as a guarantee of fairness. When it works quietly in the background, nobody notices. When it becomes part of the story during a record-breaking moment, it raises a different kind of question entirely, one about transparency and how and why certain replays get flagged for review in the first place. For players, this tournament has already shown how disruptive these moments can be, even when the outcome ends up being correct. Messi himself described being visibly angry after missing that penalty, and Argentina's manager later said the team needed a tactical reset, helped along by a mandatory hydration break just to settle back into rhythm. That hydration break detail isn't a small thing either. It's become one of the more debated features of this World Cup, with some critics arguing the breaks disrupt the natural flow of a match, while supporters point to genuinely dangerous heat conditions at several host venues. Whatever side fans land on, it's clear these pauses are now shaping the tactical story of big matches, not just player safety. For fans inside the stadium and watching at home, the emotional whiplash was real. One minute you're watching a man chase down a record nearly 2 decades in the making. The next, you're staring at a review graphic, waiting to find out if the moment you just celebrated actually happened the way you thought it did. That's a strange experience for any sport to ask of its audience, especially in a tournament built around delivering unforgettable moments to a record global audience. Before we get into where this goes next, if you're enjoying this kind of breakdown, now's a good time to subscribe so you don't miss tomorrow's story. So where does this leave FIFA going forward? In the best-case scenario, this becomes a quiet footnote. Messi's record stands, the review process did its job correctly, and fans simply remember the goal rather than the seconds of uncertainty that followed it. In a more uncomfortable scenario, this becomes part of a larger pattern. If another marquee moment, whether it's an Mbappe milestone, a Haaland breakthrough, or a knockout stage goal that decides a team's tournament, gets caught up in a lengthy or unclear review, the conversation could shift from celebrating the football to questioning the system around it. FIFA will likely face growing pressure to be more transparent about why certain plays get flagged and how quickly fans can expect clarity when history is potentially on the line. With the knockout rounds approaching, where every decision carries even higher stakes, that pressure isn't going away anytime soon. There's also a quieter possibility worth mentioning. Reviews like this one, when they're resolved quickly and correctly, can actually build trust over time. Fans saw the system check itself on the biggest possible stage and still arrive at the obvious right answer. That's not nothing. So let's bring this all together. Lionel Messi made history that no man or woman has matched in World Cup history, becoming the outright leading scorer across both tournaments. But the way that moment unfolded, with a missed penalty, a VAR check on the build-up, and a tournament already sensitive about its technology, turned a pure celebration into something more complicated. What do you think? Should FIFA be doing more to explain these reviews in real time, especially during historic moments? And which other player do you think is most likely to have their own record-breaking moment tested by the video review system before this tournament is over? If you want the next breakdown the moment it drops, go ahead and subscribe now, because this story is still very much developing. This World Cup keeps finding new ways to make history complicated, and honestly, that's exactly why we keep watching. See you in the next one.